Now, our philosophy is connect is more important than depth of connect.
Okay.
I thought an app as gimmicky as Sri Mandir will never work.
Yeah.
Digital temple, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Why would people pray here?
Correct.
आम आदमी सवेरे उठता है, हाथ जोड़ता है, बोलता है भगवान ये फूल मेरा दिन अच्छा रहे, हमारे परिवार का कल्याण करना.
Yeah.
That's what people do.
Right. Hi, welcome to the episode of AppsForBharat on Tap. Today we are sitting down with Prashant, the founder and CEO of AppsForBharat. We'll understand his journey as he built two startups currently working in the devotional and spiritual tech space. It's an exciting space and let's understand the nuances more for him. Welcome Prashant to our episode today.
Hi, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for taking time on a Saturday evening.
Absolutely.
Prashant, let's start by understanding your journey. What has led to this current startup that you're currently building and doing pretty well and in an exciting space? We want to understand how this all began and what led to this current stage.
I think the instant response to this is why not? No, see, every important human behavior has moved online.
Yeah.
Food, you can think of 2 apps, 3 apps.
Yeah.
Grocery, entertainment. Now, devotion, yes, is a very, very important part of people's life.
Right.
Can you think of an app?
Only one.
Say Sri Mandir. Yeah.
I was thinking of
So that was the opportunity.
Yeah.
So we realized that devotion as a space, devotion as a need, it's as a behavior. It is something which is an important part of people's life.
Yeah.
And when you think of this need, you cannot think of a product or a service or a platform that was solving for these needs.
Correct.
And hence, from a very top-down perspective, yes, there was an opportunity. But the question is, were we opportunist about it? Or were we mission-oriented about it? That answer will come from my own story,
Okay.
backstory. I'll take you to my backstory now.
Sure.
So I come from this village near Kanpur. That's where I was born. My family essentially, my dad was amongst 6 brothers.
Okay.
5 of them still continue farming and cattle rearing.
Okay.
And my dad decided to take technical education, so he went and took up a job at HAL near Amethi.
Okay.
Now, the quick background is that financially we were, because farming and bunch of other challenges happened our way, so financially we were like very, very lower middle class.
Okay.
And now why I'm telling you all of this is because I feel today my family essentially is a representation of what mass India looks like.
Yeah. Bharat.
Yes. I would say if you remove the 4-5 million people from the top bracket,
Yeah.
rest country looks like this in similar ways, right? Limited opportunities, limited resources,
Yeah.
but they're doing okay now.
Correct.
That's what the India consumption story is. Sometimes I think about, right, what is it that kept them going? And what kept them going was this belief, faith, hope that if I keep working,
Yeah.
if I keep doing the things the right way, a day will come when I and my whole family will do okay.
Right.
And there's some strength in this cultural fabric, I would say.
Okay.
Now we can segment it in any ways, I would say. So in my family, essentially, we were fairly religious. Every festival was important. Many practices my parents, my family used to do. Now, if I just think about this, right, what was that to them? It was a way for them to extract hope, extract that strength, and use that as a mechanism or a fuel to keep going.
Right.
And if I feel so, fast forward, right? I went on to do my BTech from a state college in Kanpur, then did my masters from IIT Bombay, worked with Samsung, Microsoft, started Trell
Yeah.
in 2016. 2020 Q1 was when I decided to move out,
Okay.
and I was thinking about what is it that I should do now.
Right.
And I was someone who always wanted to build something for the masses,
Okay.
where it could have a population scale impact. And I was thinking of what is it that I should build next. And devotion was one such experiment that I was running.
Yeah.
Now that was more from a idea perspective, but it's not that I was just doing devotion as a segment around experiments.
Okay.
I was also fiddling with few things in fintech.
Okay.
Was running experiments, talking to people. Now, it so happened that when I was running these experiments around devotion, We built a few apps,
Right.
and these are simple 2-pager apps, 3-pager apps. And these, I'll tell you what these 4 apps were all about. One app was aggregation of literature. One
Okay.
app was devotional music. Third app had some bunch of tools together around devotion and faith. And the
Yeah.
fourth one was Sri Mandir. I thought a app as gimmicky as Sri Mandir will never work.
Yeah.
Yeah, digital temple. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Why would people pray here?
Correct.
But to my surprise, and often it happens in the consumer world,
Yeah.
when we shipped that, and the kind of feedback we started receiving was very profound, very deep. And at that point in time, I had been building apps for 7-8 years of my life.
Correct.
I have not seen this kind of feedback. It was profound, deep. People said that, hey, this app is important to me. I start my day with this. It gives me this, it gives me that. And it was not like, hey, app is great,
Right.
nice, amazing. No, many layer deep. And as a creator, I would not see myself as an entrepreneur. As a guy who was trying to build products, I'll see myself as creator.
Correct.
And what do creators want is applause.
Correct.
And this applause I was getting from these users, and I was like, this is profound, this is deep. And I realized that whatever I've created, it is creating meaning to people's life.
Yeah.
And that's worth building.
Right. Right.
And that's how I was like, let me give it a shot. But the question was the kind of headwind I was getting in terms of opinions about the category. People were like, hey, devotion, no company has listed, no company has raised capital. There are a few apps who are there in this particular space where they'll create an app, get traction, run ads. That's all what was happening in this space.
Okay.
Too, it's also a gray area in many ways, right? You don't know where to copy from.
Yeah. Correct.
You
There's no
don't know-
playbook.
There's no playbook, right? You don't know whether there's an app in the US or China where I can copy from. So a lot
Absolutely.
of unknowns. But still, what we kept chasing was user feedback. And we realized that this user is loving what we have built.
Correct.
And he's telling us that this is what we would want more from you.
Yeah.
And if we keep chasing that, there is an opportunity our way.
Okay.
And that's how we went chasing this.
Got it.
We did not know, honestly, if you ask me, was I visionary enough to know how this will pan out?
Yeah.
I had no idea. I have no idea even today.
Okay.
I can see a beautiful picture out there
Yes.
that if we serve this, and this, it will be amazing.
Right.
But there are lot more factors that will play out, right? The private markets, public markets, users, institutions that we work with, all of that has to come together for us to create this large outcome.
Absolutely.
And that's the risk that we all are underwriting while we are building this.
Correct.
And that's the upside as well. Because what we are creating essentially is a category. And there is this large opportunity where people are saying that, hey, I want this information on my phone. I want these services accessible through my phone. If we can create that, I feel it could be big.
So, can you talk about some of the behavioral aspects that you've seen in the people who said to you that, this is an app which I use every day, or I start my day with this? What were some of the behavioral nuances that you caught in those users?
So, see, I think the way we should look at this is look at the offline parallel
Okay.
and draw parallels there, and similar behaviors you will see from what we are doing.
Okay.
I'll give you examples. Our estimates say that there are roughly 15 to 20 crore people who pray daily
Okay.
or who would make offerings on a daily basis.
Right.
And Sri Mandir, our app, is largely about Hinduism.
Correct.
So I would say 80%. I would not want to, let's say, get to exact figure, but some in that ballpark is what India's population would follow Hinduism. Of which we feel 15 to 20 crore people pray daily. They would make offerings daily, which is how they would start their day, right? There are two factors here. If I have lesser time, I would just check into my local shrine or
Yeah.
nearby temple.
Right.
Or if I'm traveling, I would be going to some temple or some pilgrimage. If I have more time, I would check in, pray. If I have little more time, and that time could be a factor of who I am, my age, state of mind, all of that.
Right.
I would check in, pray, consume literature, consume more information, make offerings. So if you see, right, there are ways in which And I'm talking about massy behavior. I'm
Okay.
not going deeper into saying ki, hey, this is what is this school of philosophy, this, no, I'm not going there. I'm saying
Okay.
एक आम आदमी क्या करता है.
Okay.
आम आदमी सवेरे उठता है, हाथ जोड़ता है, बोलता है भगवान ये फूल मेरा दिन अच्छा रहे.
Yeah.
हाँ, हमारे परिवार का कल्याण करना.
Yeah.
That's what people do.
Right.
And that's what many people do. Now let's look at, so this is one segment of people. Now people, we are shooting here in HSR, right? Many of the techies in HSR that, hey, I don't do that.
Yeah.
But they would pray during Diwali or during Ganesh Chaturthi or any other, or maybe if it's their birthday, they would say ki,
Yeah.
yeah. So let's say the 2-3 million people who are techies, a certain archetype, I would say, or people who would say, hey, I am not really a practitioner as such, but
Right.
still, that audience would pray once, twice, thrice a year. The entire nation also does that.
Okay.
There are people who would pray and connect to their gods and goddesses on a weekly basis.
Right.
I'm a Lord Hanuman devotee. I do that every single week. There are people who do that during occasions. So this is this segment of people. And when we think about this segment of people, there are a few needs that are there.
Right.
What are those needs? One need is around consumption of information.
Okay.
What do I mean by that is, I want access to trusted information. Ab that information could be any of those chants or songs
Yeah.
or literature. Could be anything, right?
Yeah.
Or it could be just very functional. Ki, how do I pray during Diwali?
Right.
Or this information could be as simple as, today is the day of Lord Vishnu. I'm a believer. What all things should I do? So the information sets could be fairly varied.
Okay.
Now this is one set, right? I want access to trusted information which assists me in my practice.
Right.
Second part is services. What are the services people would want? First part is of that is access, digital access to temples and pilgrimages. That's what we understood. We realized that you would go to a temple or any other place of importance once in many years,
Yeah.
once in a lifetime. Now you might consume their live streams for some
Right.
of the important temples, but as the belief systems are, that live stream is not is things half done.
Yeah.
What people would do is look at that particular stream or look at that particular darshan and would want to participate.
Correct.
Participation could be done through few ways. You would want to make an offering, let's say offer a coconut, basket of flowers, whatever it is, right? Or you would want to participate in a puja. You would want to donate. Could be any of these things.
Right.
Now, this is one need where people would want access to some of these ways to participate.
Yeah.
Third is, we feel that whenever you would go to some of these institutions or pilgrimages once in a lifetime or once every year with family, with parents and so on, you would want, see, we are getting trained to the idea of urban company. Standard price, standard offering, things being offered to you in a trusted way. Now those expectations are not unreal.
Right.
But when you think of this whole category of devotion, somehow it is fragmented in a way, right? What you need is this layer of trust.
Correct.
So I think spiritual tourism as a segment is 60% of India's domestic tourism,
Absolutely.
but massively fragmented. A lot of user needs are there. A lot of access needs are there. Convenience needs are there.
Yeah.
And the last part is services at homes,
Okay.
which is, I would want to, today's an important day, I would want to quickly understand from a Panditji on how should I do that, vakara, vakara.
Right.
Or maybe you would want to buy something, puja consumables, commerce and so on. Or maybe talk to an astrologer. So
Right.
these are the wide set of behaviors that are there.
Okay.
And they happen at varying frequency.
Right.
Now the interesting bit here is that there is no one large spend that is there.
Right.
And these spends naturally are spread out through a user journey.
Correct.
Ki, I would do this on a daily basis. I don't do daily basis thing, but I would do this on a weekly frequency, monthly frequency and so on. To be able to build, we believe, to be able to build a large platform, you have to serve many of those.
Absolutely.
So that can this become a trusted platform for a devotee for all things that we talked about?
Yes.
And that's the approach that we have taken.
Okay.
What we did was we started with building a platform where you can just consume information. So I consume information here. Great. The first 2 years of that journey was this free platform for everyone. Then people came to us and said that, hey, I believe in this temple. I went there 5 years back. But what I do is I would allocate 10, 15, 20 rupees every Tuesday, Friday. And I would give it to a relative
Oh,
and tell him कि जब आप जाना उस मंदिर तो मेरे परिवार के नाम पे चढ़वा देना. We became that relative.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So Chadhawa is that. Then puja is where it's it's Pitru Paksh, for example. Now there are two things. Either I can make all of those arrangements at my home and get those rituals done, or I can travel to Haridwar or Gaya or anywhere else to get this done. Now, our philosophy is connect is more important than depth of connect.
Okay.
Now, let's say, I would say that, hey, because I cannot do this, I'm not going to do this. But we say, we'll give you access. It's fine you're not able to do it fully in your home and in a very involved way. But let me connect you. So we have these pujas where it's an important day. You can participate in the pujas happening at these temples in Haridwar, in many of the partner temples and so on.
Yeah.
And what you get back is video and instructions. You can also participate live, or what you can also get back is a prasad box after the puja is done.
Oh.
Now this is hugely gratifying.
Yeah.
Imagine today's Friday and it's Ekadashi, for example.
Right.
I'm a believer of Lord Vishnu, and we are having this puja about Lord Vishnu, where there are a lot of these detailed rituals, and we offer that particular service to you, and you participate in it, and you participate it along with your family, and that gratification is crazy.
Correct.
And I'm not saying that, the user feedback says so. So people are
Interesting.
saying that, hey, thank you so much for enabling this. We could not believe that this is happening.
Right.
And that's the problem that we are solving.
Interesting.
People are saying it's too good to be true.
Okay.
Because the space has seen so many people who said कि आपका need है, मैं आपसे पैसा लूँगा, लेकिन serve properly नहीं करूँगा. Because so it's like this. We have to establish that we are not a fly by the night kind of operator.
Yeah.
We are here to serve. We are a very mission oriented company. We are not opportunist. So we do not do this because it's a X
Large
thousand
space.
crore
Yeah.
space. Our stance was, let's figure out who is the user. How do we serve them better?
Correct.
And this is where we have gotten them, and we are going in deeper. Of course, it's a large opportunity, and we are a business, and we are trying to solve for convenience and access.
Right.
But the core ethos is that we are not a religious company.
Okay.
We are like any other Indian consumer internet company,
Right. Right.
which happens to solve for devotional access.
Correct. Correct.
So उस ethos में company बना रहे हैं हम.
Yeah. No, that's a very interesting way to put it. And
Yeah.
before I had this conversation with you, I was actually, when I was reading about Apps for Bharat, I was wondering why would somebody want to replace their offline real experience with an online virtual experience? But the reality is that the choice is not between offline and online. The reality is the choice is between not doing versus doing it virtually.
You say it so beautifully.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, because otherwise people spend almost their lifetime not being able to make that pilgrimage, which, you know, a lot of, at least for people of a certain age, matters a lot, that they want to do this before they die. And this is a beautiful opportunity between not doing and, you know, at least being able to do it virtually.
No, I'll take this clip and put it in my deck. I'm serious. This is very well put out.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
But it doesn't stop there. That's our way to build that relationship.
Okay,
But we are doing more.
okay.
We are going deeper into spiritual tourism, and we would want to change how things should be,
Right.
and how a user should be treated. And see, it's like this. It's not that the people who are in as part of this particular ecosystem not willing to serve. They're willing to serve. But आपको कुछ ना कुछ तो educate करना पड़ेगा, बताना पड़ेगा कि ये एक better तरीका है value deliver करने का.
Correct, correct.
And And because they're here to serve, they're open to the idea of serving better, doing better, and whatnot. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think the idea of having multiple touch points is also important because certain activities, as you rightly said, will happen at a less frequency.
Yeah.
But if you can involve in their spiritual lives on a more regular basis, they'll develop more that trust much faster.
Yeah.
So having that regular touch point also matters a lot for this
Absolutely.
user base.
Absolutely.
So I have an interesting question. Are you personally a religious or a spiritual person, and do you like avail any of these services yourself?
Yes. But that question is not important, I'll tell you. Because, see, I think that's the problem that we have in our ecosystem. When a smart guy comes out of his college, he starts identifying areas that he can build in,
Right.
which are either relatable or cool.
Okay.
See, as a creator who has, not as a creator, as an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
my job is to build for the user.
Right.
Now, I feel if it is an important need, if it delivers value to people, my single-minded focus should be to serve it very, very well.
Right.
And serve it very, very well, keeping the values intact.
Yeah.
That's what is the job for everyone in here. But yes, I'm a believer. But that doesn't really matter.
Correct.
What really matters is that my job is to serve the user, and I should serve him really, really well.
Right.
Because if this space were to be built, वो
Yeah.
10 साल पहले बन चुका होता.
Correct. Yeah.
कहीं तो कुछ गैप था. हम उसके बारे में चिंता नहीं करते. We don't really care about कि what was the gap, वो 5 company. No, we don't care about that. We feel कि we have to keep building, going in deeper, understand who is the user, and do whatever it takes to serve this user really, really well.
Got it.
That's how we think about it.
That's an interesting approach, but I want to break it down even further a
Yes.
little bit. I'm not sure what is the exact number of user base that you have right now, but I'm assuming it's multi-million user base that you have right now. Out of that large user base, how do you identify who's the user whose needs I need to cater to? How do you prioritize? How do you create segments, cohorts, and identify who's your ideal TG?
Like I said, right, we have a few services. There's information, there are services.
Right.
We have built these ways to get to people.
Right.
More than half of the installs that we get is organic.
Okay.
And imagine करिए आप कि you have made an offering in your mom's name,
Yeah.
and you get this beautiful video, 3-4 minute video where your mom's name is taken, and you would put that and send it to her कि मम्मी देखो मैंने किया.
Yeah. Also put it on the family groups.
Family groups.
Yeah.
So that's one thing which is happening for us.
Right.
A lot of strong, and it's not a broadcast. It's a very intimate sharing कि देखिए मैंने ये किया आपके लिए.
Correct.
तो वो आपकी ऑर्गेनिक ग्रोथ धीरे होगी लेकिन होएगी.
Correct. And काफी strong users
Yes.
आएंगे.
Yes. Now we have these ways of identifying कि यूजर हमारा जो भी है वो इंफॉर्मेशन कंजम्पशन के लिए आ रहा है कि वो किसी सर्विस के लिए आ रहा है. एंड यूजुअली व्हाट वी सी इज बोथ.
Okay.
So there are patterns of usage, and we have identified many of these patterns.
Right.
And when a user enters the system, we understand ki what is the likelihood of him latching onto certain workflow,
Okay.
and we would take them on those journeys in a certain way. And we also learning, right? Because we realize that this is such a varied segment.
Yeah.
Now, just to give you some sense, when we started, we thought that this user, and this is a bias again, right? We thought this user might be a tier 3, tier 4 user. To our surprise, and 52% of my transacting users are under the age of 35.
Oh wow.
That's what.
Yeah.
मैंने बोला, oh wow, how is that
How is this
happening?
possible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roughly 20-25% of our demand comes from outside of India.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. But these will be NRIs who are
Yeah, diaspora people.
correct. Yeah.
Roughly 35% of our demand comes from top tier metro towns.
Wow.
तो हमें लगा था कि ये long tail phenomena होएगा.
Yeah. Yeah.
By long tail I would mean tier 3, tier 4. Many of these small towns, small villages, no. Now, there's also a varying degree of tech savviness.
Hmm.
Like I said, right, 52% under the age of 35.
Right.
Now their level of tech savviness is different,
Correct.
and there are users who are mid-age and elderly also.
Yeah.
How do you build a platform that caters to this wide audience? इनके belief systems अलग हैं, इनके value systems अलग हैं, how they interact with the platform is different.
Absolutely.
It's a real hard job.
Huh.
And sometimes we do get it wrong sometimes. But we are essentially building this muscle.
Hmm.
Because we realize that because there's no one in this particular space,
Right.
and the kind of responsibility we have is wide. So how do you build the capability to be able to solve for it? The interface has to evolve for these people and to be able to serve them well based on their needs. So we are essentially, we do realize the segmentation of how varied this segmentation is.
Correct.
But we are identifying hooks and journeys and so on.
Interesting. So, Prashant, I have an interesting question here. Let's switch gears and now talk about the funding scenario or the capital that is available in the market for this space. One is, as you rightly said, that these are business models which are not easily found in the developed economies or where the VC ecosystem is much advanced and developed. So, therefore, there's no playbook that exists. How has that helped you or posed challenges for you in terms of your fundraise journey?
No, capital is actually not available in this particular category, to be honest.
Okay.
See, and this might. So what I'm saying is should not demotivate budding entrepreneurs. So if you are actually copying a company or a product and not adding your nuanced user thinking,
Right.
it's a bummer for an investor. Because I believe when you try to catch a sprinting tiger or a cheetah, what you end up catching is the tail,
Right.
which no investor wants.
Correct.
So I feel there's so much of, like I spoke, right, so much of need that has to be served. I think entrepreneurs have to be like really smart about figuring out what could work here.
Correct.
Now, and that's where, the good part is a lot of investors are very smart to understand whether it's a opportunist team
Yeah.
or mission-oriented team.
Right.
I think all mission-oriented teams that are trying to do something which is very user-centric
Right.
will raise some capital.
Right.
But if you see, right, the current data says that there is disproportionate distribution amongst a few players and the rest of the market.
Correct.
A lot of many other companies which are saying कि hey, हम भी कर सकते हैं.
Huh.
But what people are willing to see is हम भी कर सकते हैं मगर क्या, किसके लिए, क्यों? Why are you doing this? Because what happens is, in a space like this, when you build for quick bucks, you're bound to fail.
Right.
And that's what I think, right? When I started this, the total capital that was raised in this particular category was less than $1 million.
Oh.
That's all.
Wow.
That's all.
Did you know this when you start?
No.
Okay.
One of my investors told me after they wrote me a seed check.
No, I think it's the right time when you discovered it.
Yeah. So after they invested, I raised a $3.5 million seed round. This May 2021. This investor told me that, hey, do you know that the overall capital raised in this category is this much only?
Oh, wow.
Like, okay, what does that mean? That means I have just limited capital access. See, it's not that I'm we are building technology.
Correct.
And that needs investment and initial seeding, and that's how we approach it. Our goal is to build something sustainable, but it so happens that we were required to raise more capital because we are solving for the user, solving for the platform, solving for our institution partners and so on. तो 3-4 इसमें हमारे stakeholders हम solve कर रहे हैं. And our goal is to be able to enable this ecosystem in many ways. Now, coming to the other part, right? When I think about capital availability,
Yeah.
yes, there is capital available. But if you are going and building something which is, oh, let's go, there is this model. I'll replicate it because I can. Make quick bucks. I think ecosystem has renewed itself over many years.
Yeah.
They have seen this in various segments. They saw it in food, grocery, and so on.
Right.
Many companies, the 2-3 companies that executed well, we all know those stories, right?
Correct.
So people are now attuned to the idea कि ऐसा होता है. And that's what I think. There's so much to do, but people have to identify user user need, user pain points,
Hmm.
and go for it.
Hmm.
And there is capital available.
Got it. So what you're saying is, if you've identified the real problem and if you're listening to the user and you have users who are coming back to you using your product and you've established that, even if there's the space itself is not so established, there is capital
Yeah,
available.
yeah.
for
And I think because your platform is all about investors, right? I'll tell you a few things, right? Now, I think there are a few things. For example, in our case, our day 30 retention, I'll not reveal the numbers. One of the founder who was inspired by what we're doing, he came to me and said, we are doing something similar.
Yeah.
And he wanted to have a chat. I am very open because I feel that this is how category expansion will happen,
Correct.
categorization will happen. And I asked him, how are the numbers? So, unfortunately, his day 1 retention was similar to our day 30 retention.
Oh.
Which is, I was like, this don't treat this space as a opportunist. आप इन्वेस्ट करिए, समझिए यूजर को, बनाइए, क्योंकि बहुत चीजें हैं, हम भी आपसे सीखेंगे.
Correct.
And this is how we'll be able to do that. I feel बहुत important है for people to understand the ethos and essence, because this is not like any other typical category, I would say, because when you go and partner with these temples, they also seek alignment of values. They would look you up.
Yeah.
They will try to understand ki what are the reviews saying on your Play Store, and then they'll open up the idea ki oh, let's partner and so on. So that's yeah.
Interesting. Great. I think this was really lovely. I think we can keep going on and on about this for another hour, but we'll try to bring this to a close. And I'd like to ask you my favorite question, which I ask all my guests, and that is, what's the one book that you're reading right now, and what's your normal genre of interest?
Okay. No, I think I would read anything that folks would recommend me.
Okay.
And there are many people that I look up to for some of these recommendations. The book that I'm currently reading is the autobiography of a yogi.
Okay.
And it so happened that I met a friend. I was in Gurgaon a few days back. His name is Vidit. He runs something called as Air Black.
Okay.
And he told me his entire family has read this book.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, wow. He said, "Tu bhi padh."
Okay.
मैं airport से मैंने pick किया and I'm reading that particular book right now.
Okay. Interesting. Are you liking it? Would you recommend it?
Like 4 or 5 pages down, so let me read that.
Okay. Great. Thanks a lot, Prashant, again for taking time out.
Absolutely.
Any last words for the audience before we wrap up?
No, I think India is a land of opportunities.
Right.
So I come from, I'm not very old though, but I come from that time when my friends used to say, hey, I'm moving to the US for my master's because American dream, bro.
Yeah. Yes.
I think the time of Indian dream is here.
Absolutely.
And it's the best time to build for India.
Yeah.
But I think the way we should all think about this is identify real needs, real problems, and go all in.
Correct.
That's the only way to build value.
Correct. No, I think you've said it the right way, and I think all entrepreneurs will definitely agree with you there, including myself. Thank you again for taking time out today.
Absolutely.
Thank you everyone who is watching us today, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Till then, bye-bye.